Hey friends, I hope your week is starting off great. Brandy here, and this is the 10th day of our 30 days of wellness and connection together. So for the last few days, we've been talking about how to improve your digestion. We talked about assimilating nutrients, eliminating waste, and how to build up and support your microbiome. But what we haven't discussed yet is malnourishment and the need for supplementation. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to my bathroom. The lighting is a little harsh here, but this is where I have my supplements. So I wanted to give you a little glimpse of what I am doing. So let's talk a little bit more about malnourishment and the need for supplementation before I show you what I take. So the vast majority of people in the United States are malnourished to some degree. And I got this information from the CDC that I don't always trust because, not because I feel their information is wrong, but their range for what is normal is not in agreement with what alternative health practitioners agree on. So that's the big difference. But they admit that Americans have deficiencies mainly with vitamin A, vitamin D, folate, iron, zinc, and there is one more, iodine. So these 6 micronutrients, so vitamins and minerals, are what most people are deficient in. And there's an alarming statistic that like 43% of children under the age of 5 are actually anemic. So, and that's just with iron. So I don't have the statistics about all the other deficiencies here. But it is something that the CDC and FDA want to work to resolve. But the way that they go about doing it is probably not the best way. So they're just trying to add back in what's missing, but they're putting iron and folate into processed wheat flour. They're putting vitamin D and I think A2 in milk, so they're fortifying highly processed milk, which is not good for us. They're putting iodine in highly processed salt too, which is not good for us either. So it's not really getting to the root of the imbalance. The intentions are good, but the way they're doing it is cheap and easy. So the best way to get to the root is to realize what is wrong with the situation here. Why are so many people deficient in nutrients? It's mainly because they're not eating real food. So a lot of American food is highly processed, devoid of nutrients, and not balanced either. But even if you are eating balanced macronutrients, so still getting a lot of fruits and vegetables as your carbohydrates, not as much grains, which can, we talked about, cause issues with gut permeability. If you're getting enough high quality protein and fat too, high quality fat, you are still likely to have some nutrient deficiencies. And this is because our soil is so depleted here in the USA. Because of our monoculture farming practices, where they're only focusing on one plant at a time, completely strips the soil, and then they try to add in artificial nutrients to the soil, and we're in this constant cycle of depletion. Instead of what we really need is a revolution of polyculture farming, where there's a great variety of foods that are being grown. Disease is not as much of an issue in that case, and so you don't need herbicides and pesticides. And you're using, most of these systems also are very pro composting. And so you're constantly generating your soil. You're growing your own soil to nourish the food that then nourishes you. That's where we need to go eventually. This will solve so many problems to so many degrees. And that's maybe for another topic on another day. Okay, so even if you are supplementing, which I'm suggesting that you open up to the idea of supplementing, I was not open to it for a very, very long time. If you've learned enough from me, you know that I love nature. I know that nature supports me as best as it can. And I had a really hard time coming to terms with realizing that I wasn't getting enough from nature. So you will see that I yielded to that, and I'm actually taking a lot of supplements right now, but I am also in a healing phase. So when you are recovering from chronic disease, when you have a history of eating really crappy foods that I grew up on in the 70s and 80s, which has contributed to the thyroid disease that was in remission for a long time. It looks like my thyroid is having a harder time right now, but I think this is related to a tooth issue that I'm having. I think that is stressing out my thyroid. Anyway, I'm trying to support my body to heal all of the tissues here around my throat and mouth. So let me show you what I use, and I'm not suggesting at all that you do what I'm doing. If you have any questions about what I'm doing and you're interested in trying it, I will address those. But really, this is just meant to show you my approach and to just open up to the idea of supplementing your body with extra nutrients. And when you do, just make sure that you find some brands that you trust, that have very high quality standards. And yes, it is probably going to cost you more. Usually things that are higher quality are more expensive. But I think it is well worth it because you are investing in your health. So I told you it was a lot. This is my pile of supplements here. So I'm about to place these into these individual wells, and this is what I pull from every day, twice a day, morning and evening. And you can see here that last week I missed 5 doses. I still have a hard time taking my supplements consistently, but I still did pretty good. It's better than nothing, right? And so I'm about to allocate these right now. So I got out all of my bottles, and I'll go through this really quickly. So I am taking supplements from doTERRA, from Standard Process. As a practitioner, I can get these supplements. Otherwise, you need to go through a practitioner to get them. But you can buy from Forefront Health. This is another place I get them from. Green Pastures, and that's all I am buying from right now. But Claire Labs and Thorne are other good brands of supplements that you can look into. So let us start with the Lifelong Vitality from doTERRA. This is a trio of supplements that I use for just general health. So the Microplex VMZ, this is a whole food micronutrient complex. And I like getting everything from food as much as possible. And even the supplements, most of them are just highly concentrated food. So this has a whole array of vitamins and minerals derived from food. And it does have just about everything. It does have everything I just mentioned here that are on the list of CDC approved deficiencies or acknowledged deficiencies. So this also has essential oils in it that helps you digest them better. So I've had no problems digesting these, whereas other multivitamins, you might have a bit of reflux or just feeling that it's really heavy. It's hard to assimilate. Sometimes our body doesn't absorb them, especially if they're not whole food based and they're highly processed. The body has a really hard time absorbing them, and so you may just pee it back out, and then that gets really expensive. So these I do digest and assimilate very well. Also part of this trio is the XE Omega. So this is an omega-3 complex of omega-3, 6, and 9, heavier in omega-3s, which most of us are deficient in. You get this a lot from seafood, from salmon in particular. And this has a higher dose of vitamin D and A in it, as well as many other oils. I won't go through everything, but this also has some essential oils in it to help you digest. All three of these do. And then the Alpha CRS, this is a cellular complex, so it's filled with polyphenols, antioxidants that help to fight free radical and oxidative damage. So this is what our cells endure from radiation, from pollution, from toxins in our food, in our personal care products, in the environment. Really, really important to nourish and repair your cells. And it really helps our mitochondria, which are the powerhouse of energy in the body. So very supportive for the health of our organelles too. So mitochondria is inside the cell. Okay, let's go to pterozyme. So this is another doTERRA one. This is a digestive enzyme complex. So it helps you digest proteins, carbohydrates, fats easier with the associated protease, lactase, and amylase. Lipase is what I meant. So it does have lactase in it too that helps with dairy, lactose. A few other things, betaine, HCl, and it has an anti-gluten enzyme blend in this too, which is very intriguing. So I think a lot of people have issues with digesting gluten and they're not willing to go gluten-free. So this is the kind of intermediate to help you out. Still a good idea to eliminate that if you really do have an issue with gluten though. Okay, so I'll try to go through these quicker. From Standard Process, I'm taking Cyruta Plus. This helps my body with my adrenal health and circulation. So this was prescribed to me through a muscle testing program from another practitioner. So I'm keeping up with this. I digest really well when I am taking those. I am also taking Thytrophin PMG. This is supportive for the thyroid gland. But I am probably going to stop taking this because now that I know my thyroid needs more help, I am starting to take this thyroid glandular. So this is raw thyroid. It does have thyroid hormone in it, whereas this does not. It just has nutrients that support the thyroid. So I'm going to be taking this instead for a while until I get it under control, and then I may go back to the Thytrophin. Also taking organically bound minerals. So this is really high in iodine, which helps with the thyroid. So for my condition, I am needing more iodine, more vitamin D, and vitamin A. So those are very supportive for the thyroid gland. And so this is a proprietary blend that, I don't know what it has in it, but it definitely has kelp and alfalfa. They're disclosing here, and then it has quite a lot of iodine. I'm starting to take this vitamin ADK complex from Forefront Health, and I have been taking fermented cod liver oil, and it also has concentrated butter oil. So this is also high in vitamin D and vitamin A. So vitamin D, I would say, is what I do suggest many of us dose up on now. With that viral threat everyone is worried about, there is evidence that most people getting sick and getting very ill and actually dying from it are deficient in vitamin D. So you can't get enough of it, really. And we're supposed to be getting it from the sun. This is part of the reason why more people get sick in the fall and winter when the strength of the sun is not there, it's diminishing. But this is also an issue in our society since we've become terrified of the sun and are always putting on sunscreen. So I actually do not use any sunscreen, especially right now. There's no reason to. I mean, at least for my skin, which is on the medium to darker side, I guess. If you're fair, maybe. But it is beneficial to have exposure to the sun for about 20 to 30 minutes without any coverage so that your skin can absorb enough of the rays to stimulate vitamin D production in the body. So that's how we're supposed to get it. But when the sun is not here, we do need to get it more from our food, and it's really hard to do that. So that is when supplementation is necessary. So I know that was a lot of information. And again, this is just a glimpse into what I'm doing. I'm getting vulnerable here with you and sharing because I am in a healing phase right now of my life. And I'm not sure what we'll talk about tomorrow. Let me know if you have any requests. Otherwise, it'll be a surprise for both of us. I will see you tomorrow, friend. Bye.